The elven siblings intensified their focus as they entered their trances. Their ears quivered akin to rabbits, attentively attuned to every sound within the wood. The Lord firmly grasped his sword as he guided his sister.
I shall unravel the enigmas that lie before me as you handle that which is before you. Though this hollow conceals myriad mysteries, the landscape cannot alter of its own accord. Something or someone has surely exerted influence upon it.
Pray tell, have you any inkling?
Arashelle inquired, her ears and eyes both vigilant, averted in the opposite direction. With her newfound prowess, she deftly fashioned a comprehensive cognitive chart.
I harbor a few suppositions. Perchance, a treant traversed these grounds as it shepherded its flock. With the impending shift of seasons, it is the juncture when trees and shrubs must be relocated in search of fertile soil nourished by pioneer grasses and flora. In turn, these verdant pioneers seek barren terrain to cultivate, all under the watchful care of their dutiful stewards. In an idyllic scenario, such would be the case. Even if the treant lingers nearby, their kind are mild-mannered and less roused. We need only steer clear and forge a fresh path toward the highroad.
Arashelle inclined her head, gently pressing the back of her skull against her brother's in a bid for his attention.
Are they not nearly indiscernible from the trees? How am I to discern the disparity?
You have now honed your skills for this task. They are akin to sentient vegetables, much like the Arashelle. Pay heed to the thrum of their core.
A thrum?
Indeed, a thrum. You know that these beings lack hearts akin to animals, yet their cores fulfill a similar role. You may have witnessed our musicians and clockmakers employing tuning forks to harmonize their instruments and timepieces. The thrum of their core sings in a comparable manner.
Once more, she delicately tilted her head back, then honed her hearing. Her eyes diligently surveyed the surroundings, left and right, while her ears flickered with attentiveness. Her newfound prowess filled her with astonishment. It bestowed upon her a vantage akin to that of a bird, encompassing the realm of the woods for at least a kilometer before her. Furthermore, she discerned the occurrences behind her, albeit with a diminished range, offering clarity to her brother's earlier caution that his solitary undertaking of the task would be protracted without her.
Do you sense anything, Arashelle?
The creatures of the wilderness are astir, yet most beasts maintain a cautious distance. I perceive their motions and even the rhythmic pulsations of those closest, but I observe no stirring amidst the trees, except for the zephyrs that toy with the uppermost foliage. I discern no thrums either. And you?
She could feel Aragnan shake his head.
Similar tidings. I think my initial supposition held true, yet the treant hath since departed. I rejoice in this fortune, for there exist perils more dire that could have beset us.
Such as?
There are many among the myriad woodland sprites. Though mostly innocuous, their mischievous antics can prove bothersome. They seldom offer aid or cease their meddling unless enticed by an offering. The most dreaded among them would be the
Something is coming,
Arashelle cried out.
Where?
The elven lord disregarded the piercing cry, resilient against its sting, as he took a broad stride and swiveled to confront the opposing direction. Arashelle kept her bow taut, gazing skyward towards the verdant canopy. While her eyes failed to discern any sight, a foreign sound wafted faintly from that very direction. It had been fleeting, a gentle thrum that delicately teased her ear. Yet, What bewildered her most was the origin's trajectory. Never had she heard of a treant ascending trees. Her muscles tightened at a distant whistling sound, only to be caught off guard as the tip of a spear pierced through the leafy veil.
Too swift.
She silently lamented, hastily lifting her bow in a desperate attempt to deflect the projectile with the limb. Arashelle positioned himself before her, and a sonorous slice followed by a resounding crack assailed their ears as his blade deftly intercepted and cleaved the spear, rending it asunder and redirecting the projectile into the depths of the underbrush. He had perceived the direction of her gaze and shifted his own eyes toward the verdant canopy, discerning the impending threat. Nearly a millennium of martial prowess had honed his reflexes to transcend mortal comprehension, thus rending the hurtling missile midair was naught but an inconsequential feat. This was the sound that now resounded above the elves, their acoustimancy granting them clear perception. The reverberating thrums intensified with each fleeting moment, bearing the wrath of the assailant. Abruptly, a roar erupted, akin to the bellow of menacing gales colliding with the canopy. From the very spot whence the spear had emerged, a somber green mass burst forth, hurtling toward the earth. The elven lord clasped his sister's waist, propelling them to safety just as the mass crashed into the underbrush, sending a flurry of leaves, imbued with a hue so deep and verdant that they bordered on obsidian, in every direction.
What sorcery is this?
Arashelle exclaimed, tottering to maintain her balance as her brother gently released her to the ground.
No sorcery.
The countenance of the Lord turned grave as he pivoted to confront their adversary.
Eleshi,
he uttered. It materialized as a seething amalgamation of somber foliage and thorny tendrils, resembling an untamed bush grown wild. Gradually, its unruly branches and entwined vines melded together, forming a towering mound. From the base, a pair of appendages, akin to legs, crawled forth, serving as its foundation. They were swiftly followed by another pair, surging with formidable strength, evolving into muscular arms. Finally, the head emerged, initially peering from the rear before sinuously ascending to nestle firmly between the broad shoulders. With an eerie creak, the countenance rotated, fixing its piercing gaze upon the elves, its ghostly eyes, pale and ethereal, ensconced within the thorny bramble. The creature defied classification, neither wholly man nor beast. While presently assuming a humanoid form, its body, comprised of leaves, vines, and thorns, writhed incessantly, resembling a multitude of serpents in motion, a testament to its fluid nature even when stationary. Devoid of discernible facial features, its countenance bore only luminous orbs, fixated upon the elves. Yet, the absence of expressions proved no obstacle, for its very core pulsated with a ferocious intensity, resonating like a war drum within their ears. Arashelle positioned himself resolutely betwixt the Leshy and his sister, his blade poised with its curved edge aimed at their adversary, his grip firm upon the hilt. Arashelle, though intent on retrieving a fresh arrow from her quiver after relinquishing the initial one, hesitated upon hearing her brother's whispered words, his gaze unwaveringly fixed upon their assailant.
Spare your arrows, Adorosan. Unenchanted, they shall barely graze a thorn or leaf as they pass,
he cautioned.
I could vanquish it if my arrow pierces its core.
Arashelle countered, her voice laced with feigned confidence. She was unaware, however, that the task would prove nigh impossible. Arashelle, casting a discerning gaze at the leshy as it lurched forth on its haunches, thus explained,
"You do not comprehend the complexity of that challenge. Leshies possess an uncanny trait, their composition nearly amorphous, enabling their core to shift and traverse within their bushy forms at will. Moreover, our kin's rapport with the leshies is abysmal. They harbor a deep animosity towards us, and I harbor no inclination to furnish them with additional provocation.
It is unwilling to grant us the choice, Yurizanthar,"
Arashelle cautioned as the leshy lunged forth. Plunging her hand into her belt pouch, she retrieved a small handful of powder, cradling it within her cupped palm. With determined haste, she propelled herself forward, casting the powder into the air, causing it to disperse before the leshy's path. Instantly, the creature recoiled and stumbled backward, its foliage seared by the potent mixture.
"Now, let us seize the advantage,"
she triumphantly exclaimed, swiftly pivoting to make her escape. However, her astonishment surged as she beheld her brother, jogging in the direction of their assailant.
"This way, swiftly. Beyond the leshy."
Arashell's voice rang out, beckoning her as he deftly maneuvered around the thrashing entity sprawled upon the earth. Placing her trust in her brother, Arashelle pivoted to pursue his lead. The leshy, in the midst of reclaiming its balance, lunged at her with its formidable limb. However, Arashelle gracefully crouched low and then sprang, executing a nimble somersault over the smoldering tangle of brambles, leaving the creature to stagger and crumble into the earth once more. The leshy emitted a menacing hiss as its form underwent a profound metamorphosis. Its head elevated and broadened, accompanied by the emergence of an elongated neck. An abyssal maw materialized beneath its eyes, embellished with rows of thorns that assumed the role of formidable teeth. The creature's body twisted and contorted with a mesmerizing fluidity. Initially, its arms elongated and thickened, forcefully crashing down to manifest powerful forelimbs. Meanwhile, the hind legs behind them extended and curved, now serving as stout hind limbs. Subsequently, the leshy's spine arched and curved, finding solace in a novel posture, while sinewy vines sprouted from its limbs, interweaving into sturdy paws that promised swiftness and unwavering support. In a matter of moments, the leshy had transformed into a formidable quadruped, propelling itself forth in relentless pursuit of its elusive prey. The elves had made meager progress. Arashelle, emerging as the front-runner, dashed ahead of her brother, effortlessly maneuvering through the lush foliage that obstructed their way. Her supple leather armor posed minimal hindrance, enabling her to swiftly veer left and right, deftly evading the verdant barriers. In contrast, Arashell's elven-crafted plate mail, meticulously designed to only slightly hamper his agility and mobility, nonetheless weighed upon him, impeding his stride as he trailed behind, meticulously negotiating the impediments that beset their path. Ere long, he discerned the mellifluous rhythm of the leshy's paws caressing the earth, drawing closer with each passing moment. The Lord's countenance retained an air of tranquility, unfazed by the relentless chase, his ears ever attuned to the symphony of the forest.
Ahead lies an animal trail to your left. Traverse its path until you encounter a brook that courses through a glade adorned with giant mushrooms. Beyond them, A petite clearing shall grace your sight. Aim for its center, then veer right.
Arashelle stole a fleeting glance at her brother, marveling at his adeptness in imparting the instructions. Her Acoustimancy waned, relinquished to the supremacy of her racing heart. Muffling its clamor had been feasible during the moment of repose, but now, as she strained her body to sprint, the endeavor proved futile. This epiphany served as a humbling reminder of her earlier braggadocio. She signaled her acknowledgment to him, her gaze fixed ahead, scanning for the elusive animal trail he had forewarned her about. Only a few moments passed before her keen eyes discerned a gap amidst the dense underbrush, where the passage of beasts had trampled the foliage into submission. Steering her course toward it, she discovered a treacherously narrow path, demanding meticulous footfall as she raced forward. She pursued the trail, cautiously averting her gaze downward, vigilant for lurking roots, even as her arms and shoulders carelessly clashed with wayward branches and entangling vines. Alas, her struggle intensified, for the air teemed with myriad flies and gnats, ceaselessly invading her countenance, while ravenous midges exploited any chance to inflict their vexatious bites. Arashelle caught a faint whisper of babbling water, and with a burst of energy, she emerged from the trail only to encounter the brook. Spotting the enchanting cluster of mushrooms, she swiftly altered her course and set her sights upon it. Vaulting into the air, she purposefully landed with a resounding stomp in the brook, causing water to dance and spray around her, deterring the relentless pursuit of insects. With agile grace, she embarked on a bounding start, effortlessly leaping over a towering mushroom whose crown soared to her very waist. She soon ventured into the clearing where the grand star cast its azure glow upon all that lay within. The parting of the verdant canopy was a rarity in these woodland realms, and the clearing bloomed with a vibrant tapestry of wildflowers. The elf maiden would have found it a picturesque sight, were it not for the lurking peril that shadowed her every move. Her breath came in ragged gasps, yet she pressed on, heedless of the trampled blossoms beneath her determined stride, her path set for the heart of the clearing. With a nimble pivot to the right, she stole a fleeting glance back, only to behold emptiness. Her brother was nowhere to be seen.